Hello my friends, let's get started. Former main intelligence directorate mayor and PMC Wagner instructor seeking political asylum is ready to testify in The Hague in the Netherlands. He expressed readiness to appear before the International Criminal Court in The Hague and testify about Russia's war crimes in 2014, 2015 and 2022, including the shelling of Donetsk with the aim of turning the population against the armed forces of Ukraine. Russian human rights activist Volodymyr Asechkin published a photo of the appearance of the former Russian law enforcement officer. The evidence of war crimes has been handed over to the prosecutor's office and the investigator of the International Criminal Court. The announcement states that it is known he has already arrived in Amsterdam. The name is not disclosed, but it is known that the former officer of Russian Special Services held the rank of colonel and served as the head of the so-called 4th Department of the Special Operation Management of the Prosecutor General's Office of the Donetsk People's Republic. He stated that he is ready to testify against several high-ranking officials of the Russian Federation and provide evidence against PMC Wagner and other high-ranking employees of the FSB and the Russian Ministry of Defense who participated in the war against Ukraine. The Russian law enforcement officer stated that he voluntarily surrenders himself to international justice because he wants to cleanse his soul and tell the international investigation and court about Putin's illegal schemes of invading Ukraine in 2014. According to the former main intelligence directorate mayor, one of the Wagner leaders, Dmitry Utkin, personally gave orders for executions and reprisals against civilians in Ukraine and Syria, conveying the orders to Prigozhin, who carried out Putin's will. The man added that he is ready to answer for his actions, but requests international protection for his family. While many still believe that Putin simply liberated the people of Ukraine and cities are thriving under his rule, just take a look at how Ukrainian cities look after their so-called Russian peace. And now let's move on to the front overview. Today, the Russians have increased the number of attacks even more and are making significant advances towards the positions of the Ukrainian forces. But let's go through everything in order, starting with the Kupiansk direction. Powerful assaults on Sinkivka continue here, and the Russians are breaking through closer to the highway, attempting to establish a foothold there, as they likely plan to expand their success towards Kirillivka. This creates a pivot point for the settlements near Kupiansk. Possibly, this is done to divert our forces to the border, and there are more frequent incidents of sabotage from Russian territory into Ukraine. Yesterday, as a result of an attempted breakthrough, the Ukrainian forces destroyed one occupant and a T-80 tank that exploded due to a mine detonation. In the Svatove area, the occupiers shelled the village of Berestove, and there is no further activity reported along the front line. In the areas of Krymina and Siversk, intensified shelling and offensive actions towards Makiyivka and Terny continue. The Russians are trying to execute their plan to push the Ukrainian forces across the river. But the front line remains unchanged over the day. Our fighters are holding their defense. Additionally, the Russians have resumed attacks on Spirne. Whether they will succeed in breaking through the defense this time will be known in the near future, I think. In the Bakhmut direction, the occupiers continue storming Bogdanivka, Klishchiivka, and Andriivka. They are attempting to break through into the villages and establish a foothold, but the Ukrainian forces are pushing them back, and the front line remains unchanged within the day. Although the situation is extremely challenging, shelling persists along the entire front line. In the Avdiivka direction, there is a high level of shelling and offensive actions. On the northern flank, Russians are attempting to break through near the coke chemical plant to reach the outskirts of the city. Simultaneously, offensive actions are commenced from the eastern side, also directed towards the outskirts of Avdiivka. In the industrial zone, the Russians are making significant advances between Yasinovatska and Kirova Straits, engaging in intense battles. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to prevent them from consolidating on new positions. On the southern flank, the Russians are once again storming the positions of the Ukrainian forces in the fields near Severne and Tonenke. The outcome of these offensive actions is yet to be determined. In the Vuhledar direction, shelling has resumed along the entire front line, but there are no reported offensive actions similar to the situation before. Despite Russian claims about Putin's so-called Superweapon, the British intelligence summary indicates that it is not achieving its goals in Ukraine. On December 14th, Russian aerospace forces reportedly used the air-launched ballistic missile X-47 Kinzhal for the first time since August 2023. Despite Putin's characterization of Kinzhal as his super weapon, playing a crucial role in the Kremlin's military doctrine, Ukrainian air defense successfully intercepts such targets, according to the British intelligence report. In the Zaporizhia direction, there is ongoing heavy shelling, and offensive actions are taking place in the areas of Robotyne and Novoprokopivka. Despite Russian efforts, they haven't achieved success, but the situation remains quite challenging. The front line remains unchanged within the day. However, the Russians are actively engaged in the area and seem determined to achieve results. Consequently, there is an increasing presence of military equipment moving closer to the front. This time, another deployment of equipment was recorded from Yevpatoria. In the Kherson direction, shelling of Kherson continues, causing suffering for the civilian population. However, there are no changes along the front line, and the Ukrainian forces control the bridgehead on the left bank. Serious expansion of the bridgehead hasn't been successful so far. The Russians attempt daily to storm the village, but have been unsuccessful. Due to the Ukrainian forces having an advantage in FPV drones on this front today, the Russians are actively taking countermeasures. Sladkov stated that the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation is undergoing significant reforms.
So, I believe that the public should know that the Russian Ministry of Defense is undergoing transformations related to a significant staffing strengthening of the unmanned combat factor and an increase in the potential of electronic warfare and electronic warfare. This is essentially excellent information. The ice broke. We are breaking down what seems to be a stone barrier to the development of our armed forces. There will be a result, and it will immediately affect the frontline situation.
So, in the near future, we will see how these reforms will conclude. Meanwhile, the President of Ukraine has welcomed the implementation of the 12th package of sanctions.
Today, I would like to thank our partners in the European Union for approving the 12th package of sanctions. Importantly, for the first time, there is a ban on Russian diamonds. There are new measures against circumventing sanctions and against the supply of dual-use goods and technologies to Russia. There are new restrictions on imports from Russia. All of this will really help to reduce the economic foundation of the war, and we will continue to work with our partners to ensure that the sanctions imposed by Europe work globally.
Also, on social media, footage of an earthquake in China is actively being shared. As reported, a magnitude 6.2 earthquake occurred shortly before midnight on September 19. At least 180 people have died and hundreds have been injured as a result. Authorities have mobilized a series of emergency measures, but rescue operations may prove challenging due to sub-zero temperatures. According to Chinese state media, 20 people are missing as a result of the earthquake. However, natural disasters around the world continue. And on the Reykjanes Peninsula in southwestern Iceland, a volcano erupted after several strong earthquakes. Approximately 4,000 people were evacuated from the town of Grindavik. The magnitude of the earthquake that began yesterday evening reached 4.2. Subsequently, the volcano erupted. And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.